Oh. So Alex has returned and we are now beginning the disassembly of the K24. Starting with...
Hi.
Starting with the harness.
This is the harness.
This tube is actually the harness. The entire harness is now disconnected. But it's actually pretty easy. On the K engines, all the harness comes in from this side and then just sweeps around the engine. So there is the injector harness and then the plug harness, and off of this guy comes the oil pressure stuff on this side of the engine, and then that's basically it. So shouldn't be too hard. So we've got a lot of the accessories and stuff off of the block. So as you can see here, this is the intake side. So there's the intake ports. This is the single layer steel gasket. Maybe it's multi-layer. This is the water pump area. So the pump sits in here, takes fluid in, then pumps it all around. It's cool.
Let's go off.
That's the hack bracket.
Got the big gun.
Yeah. Then we also got the harness. Excuse me. We got the harness and stuff off as well, so that's good. So today is going to be a glorious day, probably not, at OVR Autocross Points Event 8. And Ito told me that he gave me a launch start, and he clearly did not, because you're turning already before you start, as Thomas has gingerly pointed out. So, look at this! Look at the butter trays! Fancy. So, this is going to be a power course. You can tell because it's a power course.
For the vine?
Cinematic gold right there. This thing launches so hard. It revs a lot.
Is that in your class?
It's maybe.
Good.
Oh, crap ass.
Good to go.
Bollocks! My rear is not planted. Oh God.
Well, that was fast.
That was not good. There's a cone in there. So this is the inside of the timing side of the K24. It is a VTC and VTEC on intake only. Exhaust does not have that. The timing chain.
Whoa.
And then the oil pump. This is the oil pump chain tensioner and the timing chain tensioner. And Honda has not changed this basically at all. Although it's wildly different, it's also wildly the
I
same.
don't think this is right.
Why?
Because it's not coming out.
Do you still have the rubber in the socket?
No.
That's probably on one of these.
Did it ever have rubber?
It should have.
Bet this doesn't get it off. Oh, nice. Cool. Great. It's out of time now. Did it just skip?
It picked up and sat like this.
Well, it has to come off anyway, so who
Yeah,
cares?
so we have to retime it.
Isn't that just a matter of like setting all the things to the right place, putting the chain on?
Yeah, it's really easy. 10 mil.
Julia.
So Alex is currently taking the timing chain and tensioners and guides and oil pumpy boys off of the engine. How do you feel about this?
It's kind of scary.
That's fine. I love that the Cobalt tools have lights.
I'm all about Cobalt boys.
Put it in the pan.
Yeah, I don't like putting things in the pan. But we're gonna put it in the pan. Nice stuff. Both? No, just the one.
Oh, you can't move this anymore because of that.
Sweet. Should we
So-
take this off? Maybe not.
No, maybe not.
We'll see.
Probably not. So what you can do now is,
This has to come off, right?
no, here, hold on. So what we'll do, well, yes it does, but let's walk this chain back around.
Well, do we want to do that before we take this off? It's gonna be in the way.
Well, if you take the chain off, you can slide it off through this. So if you grab that side
Yeah, we can walk.
and then slide it up.
Yeah.
There you go, there's your timing chain.
Sweet, dude. It's a stick necklace.
I think it's like a dual layer chain or something. I forget what they call it.
Okay.
So the black washer holds.
It just sits between the damper and this gear.
That gear and the chain case. The cover.
Oh yeah, yeah. What is this gear? Oh, that's what we just took
That's
off.
timing.
Yeah.
This is oil pump, and that is one piece. But you know what is interesting?
Oh.
I'll tell you. I am wondering if we're going to have to take the lower. We're gonna have to split the lower block from the upper block to change that.
No.
To change the pulsar wheel.
Don't think so. I read through all the instructions. I saw nothing about that.
Okay.
Trust me, that would make me crap my ass real hard.
That's easy.
Crapping your ass?
Well, that too.
19, right?
Yeah, 19 boy. So these tensioners are really interesting. They're ratcheting and they're spring loaded, but when the engine's on, it's hydraulically driven. So while Alex is cleaning his engine, I'm going to finish putting the new alternator into the Jeep. I got a reman one, and unfortunately, it's terrible. The case is cracked in multiple spots, but I'm too impatient to not try it because I want to hear this thing start and run and everything. So I'm just going to install it, and I'll probably have to take it back out later, but that's all right, whatever. Oh well. So I got the new alternator in the Jeep, and it starts and runs, and it only needed a little bit of coercion to start, but that's okay. It'll get better as I drive it more. But here we are. The crank fan works. And there is an exhaust leak, or rather the end of the exhaust somewhere around here. But it starts and runs, and soon I will drive it around to the house and see what goes on there. Greetings, viewers. Hello. So I apologize. I have been doing some stuff at the same time as Alex has been working on the Miata. So I need to go talk about the Miata real quick. But I got the Jeep working, as you saw, and there's a small construction site. So I played in that a little bit. Not much. The Jeep is actually stuck in four-wheel drive part-time. So I need to go ahead and fix that. But we'll get there soon. But for now, Alex has been doing a lot of work on the Miata engine.
Hello. I think it fits now.
Excellent. So with the K-swap, you have to do a couple of things, like put this oil tray on, this windage tray. It's not really a windage tray, but that's what he calls it. So he has that, this plug for an oil jet, new tensioner, and oh, that is an interesting tensioner.
Yeah. What's cool is it's really easy to retension. It has just like a clip you pull it back with.
Interesting. And then you have to put this new pulsar wheel on, and then he redid the whole timing of everything. So that's cool. Then you have to grind a little bit of the oil pan.
So this has cutouts for the edge of this, and I think this cutout is for this main bolt, and the other side has nothing. So I tried cutting a bit of this off, and it didn't work.
Now,
so I ground down the oil pan and it seems better.
Now the cool thing about this engine, and most Honda K engines, is that there are no main bearing caps. There is an upper block and a lower block, and the lower block is the bearing cap for the crank. You're not sitting flat on this side.
Am I not?
No.
Hold on.
So currently Alex is fighting with getting that whole setup done. And it's hard.
Oh no! More grinding, I guess. I think that's just the flatness. Because like no matter where I put it, oh, not there.
I don't know, I was gonna say, by rudimentary measurement tools, it does seem pretty flat.
Man. More grinding and breaking of oil pumps, I guess.
That's okay. So this oil pump is an 02 to 04 or 06 RSX oil pump, base or Type S, it does not matter. And the pickup is interesting because the factory pickup comes out to over here somehow. It's actually somewhere on the ground around here. But with the K Miata, you're good. You have to... Interesting.
Ha.
With the K Miata, you have to put on this special backing plate and redo the oil pump so it can clear the steering rack and the subframe right through here. And then you also get this special tensioner that is not, I guess it's like spring, plastic spring tension, and it works, I guess. And then you also have to put on this sort of coolant distributor, and then this guy down here are new timing indicators for the sensor on the camshaft. But it's coming along well. Alex has done something very clever here. He put paint marker on the block and then put this down where it should go and found out where he has to grind. Very clever.
Yeah.
How do you feel about what you've done?
I feel very clever and sweaty.
He feels very clever and sweaty. But I don't know how much you actually heard about the engine discussion, but it's coming along quite well. Go for it. So yeah, the engine's coming along quite well, and that's pretty awesome. So our target date to get the engine in and running inside the car is think Friday or Saturday, which really seems possible. The frame is all patched up. I'll show you that in a second. So Alex's Miata has been patched. It had the hole in the frame. So this is a clever way to redo the frame. It's basically just a sheet of metal that was cut out and cut to size and then placed on top of the other frame after, you know, this area was cut out. Now this is recessed, as you can tell. I assume you can, but there's a little lip in there, and this was welded to the back of this, such that when the sway bar mount goes on and goes around, like clamps the frame, it will sit flush in the same position that it did in the past. So that's really cool. There is a bit of metal welded on the bottom as well to make those stronger, and then on the inside, I'll see if I can get around there. Give me 1 second. It is also been patched, as you can see, and it's the same style where it's just a piece of metal that rides on the outside of the frame rail and holds it together. Now, what's nice about that is it's steel, so it can be painted. It's strong. It just needs to be cleaned up and then primed and painted, and it will be just as good, if not stronger, than the original frame. Even though the original frame was 2 metal thicknesses wide, it was just stamped steel. This is an actual thick plate, so that's really awesome. So it looks like part of the flatness issue that Alex is having with this is the burr that is on the oil pan from when they drilled the holes. So he is currently deburring the oil pan, and basically it just produces a small chamfer right inside the hole, right there, and you can see the lip if it focuses, but you probably can't because it won't focus. And then that's it. It should sit flat thereafter.
So the ones that don't have burrs, should I do it anyway?
Yes. A little bit further. Oil pan go burr.
Yeah, unfortunately. We don't want it to go burr. Getting worse now that you're filming this. I need pure concentration here. This is very cruel.
So at this point, Alex is getting ready to put the pan back on. So he's putting this Honda Bond. Corona. He's putting this Honda Bond on the bottom of the block. So when the pan goes on, it'll squish this out and then allow good contact. And seal, hopefully. Sit rep. Chain case is on. Oil pan is on. However, we need to get some different bolts. So as we're waiting for the RTV to dry before final torque, we have this wrench as a spacer for this bolt. And it works. Also, this is a beautiful piece of billet aluminum. But the interesting thing about these is that this chain case is actually separated into 2 halves. You have the upper half here, and then the lower half down here. And I'm not quite sure why they did that. The Honda one is one solid piece of cast aluminum, and it seems to work. I mean, both work fine, I guess. Personally, I don't like the fact that it's 2 separate pieces, because then you have a line right here where oil could weep out and seep, but looks like it should seal fine. You have the crank seal in here, and then access to the timing chain cover, or excuse me, the timing chain tensioner. So not too bad. This thing's coming together nicely. Alex is doing a great job.